With all of this talk about the WHO treaty, you might be surprised to find out it doesn't call itself a treaty. Rather, its actual title is the WHO Pandemic Agreement. This detail will become important later in this episode. As you may expect, this agreement starts with some grandiose statements, many of which are just grandly wrong. Recognizing that the World Health Organization is fundamental to strengthening pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, as it is the directing and coordinating authority on international health work. As more and more information comes to light, we find the recommendations from WHO regarding lockdowns, masks, and the mRNA vaccines, but in question how effective they were in preventing the spread of the pandemic. Which brings into question the purpose of this agreement. The objective of the WHO Pandemic Agreement, guided by equity and the principles and approaches set forth herein, is to prevent, prepare for, and respond to pandemics. Who would decide how to prevent, prepare, and respond to pandemics under this agreement? It shouldn't surprise anyone that it would be the bureaucrats in the WHO calling the shots. While much of the agreement's language is fairly vague, that doesn't mean there aren't problems. For example, language like this: the parties commit to take measures to progressively strengthen pandemic prevention and coordination, multi-sectoral surveillance, taking into account national capacities and national and regional circumstances. The parties shall contribute to the further development and updating of international standards and guidelines to detect, reduce risk of, monitor, and manage zoonotic spillover and spillback in collaboration with WHO and relevant intergovernmental organizations. And each party commits to develop, strengthen, and maintain its health system, including primary health care for pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, taking into account the need for equity and resilience with the view of the progressive realization of universal health coverage. There's plenty of room in this language for the WHO to claim sovereignty over every country that signs on. This becomes quite apparent when you start reading Article 19 of the agreement. The parties shall cooperate directly and/or through relevant regional and international bodies to substantially strengthen pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response capacities in countries, particularly developing countries, which are parties to the WHO Pandemic Agreement or the International Health Regulations 2005, herein referred to collectively as cooperating parties. The parties shall, upon request, facilitate the provision of technical assistance and support for those cooperating parties that have requested such assistance or support, in particular developing countries either bilaterally or through relevant regional and/or international organizations. Now, what are these cooperating parties supposed to cooperate on? Sharing technical, scientific, and legal expertise. And financial support as well.